Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sistas review. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to. But if not, just sit back, relax while we get into this messy thing. Now, if you saw the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about Andy and Fatima's bond, their friendship, and the unraveling of it. And I wanted to talk about, y'all, someone asked me if I was going to be doing episode reviews again. And I am, but I realized that after I watch an episode of Sistas, I do not want to watch it again. That's just where I am with it. So I'm going to give like my overall thoughts about the episode, and we're going to consider that the episode review, which that particular video will be coming out a little later. But today I wanted to highlight a comment that was in one of my past videos concerning Fatima and Andy. And so I'm going to place it on the screen now. You can see it. I like this comment because it was simple. It was simple and plain. And I believe that this particular person was genuinely asking a question. You know, what has Fatima done to annoy Andy? Have we missed something? And then you could see my response to her. And I just really wanted to highlight this because what I believe is happening is that, like I said, I think that this is a legit question. I think it's a genuine question. And personally, how I feel is that some people either intentionally overlook Fatima's actions or don't put enough thought into her actions. And then you have those who are like me that's like, yep, she did everything Andy said she did. So it just depends on, where you fall as far as Fatima's actions are concerned in the workplace. Now, when it comes to Andy and Fatima's dynamic in the workplace or even their personal relationship, I put a lot of blame on Andy because in the beginning, she refused to set clear and concise professional and personal boundaries when it came to her dynamic with Fatima, which is why I believe we're seeing the things that we are seeing now. Now, do I believe that Andy is annoyed with Fatima? Which I love the word I love the word annoying that was used. I don't believe that Andy is particularly annoyed with Fatima when it comes to the workplace. I do believe that Andy is disappointed in Fatima's performance when it comes to the things that Fatima has done in the workplace. But I want to show a few clips before I get into the bulk of this video.
Fatima, remember that they are not your priority. I'm aware. Okay. The last thing I need are the nurse's statements. Yeah, and I don't have them just yet. But I'm going to get them. Fatima, I have expressed to you how important the statements are to this case.
Now, in those clips, I did not include the clip where, a lot of people were up in arms believing that Andy was jealous of Fatima. I still think that's so funny that people thought that Andy was jealous of Fatima when Andy made the statement of, when you actually become partner or when you actually pass the bar. It could come off as condescending, but I also believe that in that moment, Andy could tell that maybe Fatima was biting off more than she could chew. And the things that she needed Fatima to do was going to be pushed to the backside. And that's exactly what we were beginning to see.
Hey there, I was looking for you. Hey, what's going on? Do you have the nurse's statements? Andy, I've been bogged down with all this, but I promise you I'm gonna get to it. I promise. Fatima, I expressed to you how important this is for the case.
Now, I'm going to pause for a moment. Now, what I believe Andy is annoyed about, I believe that Andy is annoyed that Karen called Fatima in her time of need and didn't call her. I do believe that Andy was offended by that. I do believe that Andy was annoyed by that. However, the writers have chosen not to give us much on that, which I really hope they delve into that, because it would really make me feel good as an audience member, because we all recognize what Andy was doing as she was pulling back from Karen and pulling closer to Fatima. And I always had an issue with their friendship. Those who have been listening to me for years, or even if you haven't been listening to me that long, I have always made reference to I never believed for a moment that Andi was Fatima's friend. And for whatever reason, I never understood why Fatima wanted to be Andi's friend so desperately. I know that I have seen some comments or people were like, I don't think, Fatima wanted to intentionally become friends with the sister circle. And I have to disagree with that because Fatima will always insert, I love y'all sister group. I love the way y'all get along. I love this. I love that. Like she wanted to be invited to things when the four of the women would get together. So I do believe that Fatima's intentionality to be a part of this sister circle was extremely intentional, and I could never understand why. That's like Karen intentionally trying to become close to Belinda and Angela. It just don't make sense. I always felt like Fatima should have had her own friend group. Not because I didn't want her to become a quote unquote sister, but I just felt like there was going to be certain conversations and certain things that she needed to express and get off her shoulders that Danny, Andi, nor Sabrina would be the perfect people or the ideal people for her to release those things to. Going back to Andi and Fatima, we got to start from the beginning because I always talk about how Andi used to talk reckless to Fatima in the beginning. She talked to Fatima as if she was the dirt underneath the sole of her shoes. That's how I felt. We know that when we were introduced to Fatima, Fatima worked the front desk. And also, she was working the front desk as a paralegal, and nobody was willing to give her a chance. To me, nobody saw her potential. Nobody saw her worth within the company until Andi got a new position. And one of her stipulations was Fatima had to be her assistant. So I know the conversation is, well, if it wasn't for Fatima, Andi wouldn't have her job. Don't get me wrong. Fatima did, swipe some papers, and I think she did something with Andi's computer. Yes, she did that. And I'm not taking it away from her. However, if it wasn't for Andi, Fatima would still be working at that front desk. Okay. And I just feel like Andi found community in Fatima because Fatima actually did something that was beneficial for Andi. Now, across the board, I don't believe that these women are bad individuals. You know what I'm saying? However, there are certain aspects of all of their personalities that I definitely would not want in my friend group. Just period. I think Andi is selfish as hell. Okay, Andi is selfish as hell. It's about her, baby. It's the pleasure principle with Andi. Anything that brings her pleasure, that brings her satisfaction, she is going to attach herself to that. And I believe it was Rajaya we were having, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, sis, but I think we were having a very good dialogue in the comment section as it pertains, to Andi and the things that Andi has been through throughout the seasons of Sistas. And one thing I will say is that Andi has been through a hell of a lot, and the writers to me don't give her grace to deal with any of the things that she's been through before they try to push her to hop on another penis or have another man's tongue down her throat. That's one of the things I do not like, how they do her character. And they've also had Andi be assaulted several times, and they do not give her opportunity to deal with that. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here specifically to talk about the dynamic between Andi and Fatima. Now, when I showed the clips, there were certain things that highlighted the unraveling of Fatima and Andi's relationship, or this bond or sisterhood or friendship that they have. Fatima began to prioritize these basketball players' contracts over the work that Andi needed her to do. I believe that would be problematic for any supervisor. And so go back to the beginning of the video where I stated I just believe there are some people who intentionally ignore the things that Fatima does because it's Fatima. And then you have those who really don't put a lot of thought into it because it is Fatima. I think anybody who supervisor says, hey, this is our priority, this is what I need you to do, and you fail to perform at that level, it is going to be a problem. And Fatima is not exempt because she's Fatima. And I think also too, I remember when Robin came back, and it was that episode where Fatima was like chilling by the front desk, and he's like, hey, you're on company time, I need you doing some work, I need you in your office. And people were like, well, who the hell he talking to, or why he talking to Fatima like that? Because she's on company time and she's not working. But this is what happens when you have a friend who is your, immediate manager, your immediate boss, and they allow you to leave work early. They allow you to take an early or a later lunch or extend your lunches because your man done called you because he done got arrested or he wants you to come look at this house that's not finished yet. Whatever it was, Fatima was able to do whatever the hell she wanted to do while she was working, closely under Andy, or while their personal relationship was intact, because that's just what she was able to do. Because again, Andy never set clear and concise boundaries as Fatima's immediate supervisor. She never did that. So Fatima felt like, I think Fatima felt honestly that she had more pull than she actually did. I am excited to see Andy function as a partner, because she's not just a lawyer working there. She's not just a manager. She is a partner now. And being that Fatima is the assistant to a partner, that means that your work level needs to rise and needs to increase as well. So as we were seeing Fatima, Andy had to ask her for the nurses' testimonies twice. And both times that she asked for it, Fatima didn't have it. And then she would say, I'm right on top of that. You're not on top of it because I have to keep asking you about something you were supposed to give me hours ago and you still haven't done it. And then when I see you are working on contracts, that doesn't mean a damn thing right now. This is what I need you to do. Then when Andy finally got the nurses' testimonies, it wasn't even the right dates. She needed them backdated to a certain time, and Fatima did not do that as well. So I think that was becoming an issue. And I read a lot of things that that the viewers say, well, why is she coming at Andy? Why is Andy coming at Fatima like that? Everybody has a bad day. And that essentially is correct. Everyone has off days. However, because you're working for a partner now, Fatima doesn't have the luxury to have an off day. She doesn't have the luxury not to do what is priority. She doesn't have the luxury to decide, I'm going to work on these contracts, even though my supervisor told me to work on these nurses' testimonies to make sure I have the right date, to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence and I'm not being negligent. And she was negligent, because if Fatima was actually doing the appropriate research, she would have found out that Dr. Killer person had another alias in Alabama, and there were cases out on him where he negligently killed multiple women and or their children as well in childbirth. But because she wasn't doing her job, someone else found that information out for Andy. So when I think about the professional aspect of their relationship, it's just horrible at this moment. It's absolutely horrible. The personal part, I don't feel bad. Okay? The personal part, I don't feel bad. I feel this is poetic justice, and I have my popcorn and I am enjoying every aspect of it. Why do you ask? I'm going to tell you. Because I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that, and I've said it, if you listen to my videos, I've stated it. At the end of the day, Andy is going to always treat Fatima like an outsider. Always. Because them little four heifers, Andy, Danny, Sabrina, and Karen, they ain't going nowhere. They have been friends since college. They know how they know how they are. And obviously they're not going anywhere. And I feel when it came to Andy, it was all about her, because she understood that Fatima helped her. Okay, so now you're my friend. I don't understand people like that. Because you did one good deed, that person is now your friend. I don't understand that mindset. I don't make friends that easily. I just don't. When I say someone is my friend, that means something to me, and I don't stamp everyone with that particular label or title. And Andy to me was just too welcoming, because Fatima hid some papers for you. I didn't understand it. So when we began to see, as I stated earlier in the video, Andy pulling back from Karen and moving closer to Fatima, I just felt like this is going to come back and bite Andy in the behind. It's going to come back and it's going to bite Fatima in the behind, because I don't understand. If I see anybody who has been friends with someone for 15 plus years and I can see how easily you betray them, I always think, then what the hell are you going to do to me? When Andy did not tell Karen about that picture that was floating around Atlanta, and told Fatima, promised Fatima that she wouldn't say anything to Karen, at that point, I understood. Andy is a trash ass friend. I believe Andy is that friend that will be there for you financially, but when it comes to loyalty, Andy has none. Andy is loyal to herself to a fault. She's going to always choose her, period. Now, she may not choose you, but she want you to always choose her, which is why we saw the look on her face when she realized she wasn't the chosen one in Karen's time of need. And Karen made it she was very intentional as to why she chose Fatima. It's not because she felt Fatima was her friend, her bestie. She trusted her in that moment, and what she needed was someone who wasn't going to be judgmental. And she got exactly what she needed in that moment. Now, Fatima could have rejected it. Fatima didn't have to do it. It just is what it is. So I do definitely appreciate that moment that Karen could be honest about why she chose Fatima in that moment. Andy, we have seen countless times. Andy has lied so much. When she told Karen, I don't tell Fatima what you tell me, and I don't tell you what Fatima. Girl, you lying now. Because Andy has definitely told Fatima things that Karen has said that was none of Fatima's business. But to me, Andy proved from the very beginning that she could not be friends with both. And if you can't be friends with both, I'm sorry, Fatima got to get the boot, because who has been there for you? Who has been loyal to you? Who has been down for you when you were getting abused, when all of this stuff was going on with you, even in college when you were getting abused and the man broke your ribs and had you in the hospital, etc. Karen was there. So when I saw how easy it was for Andy to betray Karen, I was just like, nah, Andy ain't that friend. Andy ain't that person. And I never understood why Fatima used to put herself in positions to go so hard for Andy. Things just never made sense. But I always looked at Fatima sideways when from the moment she rolled Gary's demonic ass into Andy's apartment, because why would you do that, ma'am? She said she did it because she needed the $500 to help with her student loans. I call BS. You ain't need no $500. And even if you did, you were willing to do that to someone that you say you admire, someone who you wanted to be like. And I'm going to pause right there because I couldn't believe that Fatima actually uttered those words, but she did in season 1. I understand admiring someone professionally. I understand admiring the fact that this is a black woman at your job that you admire because she's young, she's a lawyer, and she's doing well for herself on a professional level. Personally, I never understood, Fatima, why the hell are you trying to get close to Andy? Andy has shown, baby, she don't make great decisions in her life. She doesn't. Andy don't. You had to call Karen, what was it, the first 2 episodes of the season when the show first came on, because this heifer in the back, she crying over a penis that don't even belong to her. I said, baby, this thing here is for the birds. I didn't expect this video to be 17 minutes long, but since I'm here, I might as well should go ahead and make it 20, which I'm probably going to do that. But the things, like I said, that are happening with Fatima and Andy, I'm here for it. I have been here for it. I got my popcorn ready and my drink of choice, which is water. And I'm enjoying this because I feel like this is what happens when you realize you're really not this person's friend. This is what happens when you feel like you probably have been used, and maybe y'all have used each other. For Andy, it may have been more personal. For Fatima, it may have been more professional, and that is, I'm not going to say it's okay, but just reveal that, because I do not know what story they're trying to tell when it comes to Andy and Fatima. Now, for those who was coming for me long time ago, bring y'all asses to the front of the court. I told you. I told y'all. Now you got to deal with this foolishness, because I said Andy and Fatima never needed to be friends. And the reason why a lot of y'all wanted Andy and Fatima to be friends, because you knew it would piss Karen off. And I have seen some of y'all comments about the only person you believe is actually friends with Fatima is Danny. I don't believe that either, and I don't trust it. And the reason why I do not trust it is because in the beginning, Danny was using Fatima to make Karen, to piss her off. That's what that was. So people that do things like that, I don't consider that a real friend. I don't consider the fact that Andy and Fatima may have private conversations, that Fatima feels that she can confide in Danny. We got to remember, it's Danny of all people. I don't believe that Danny is Fatima's friend. I think that Danny, they may be cool, yeah, But I believe that Danny is there to be that ear that gets the information. And I wouldn't be surprised if Danny is the one that let it slip to Karen about how Fatima feels about her baby dying. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I just honestly want, if they're going to have Fatima be in this place where she needs to express herself, she has Angela. Give Fatima a solid friend. It ain't got nothing to do with Karen's friends. I don't care what nobody say. That's weird as hell. I would not want to be cool. I'm sorry. I would not want to be cool with my best friend's new girl man. Like, what? Why would I want to do that? I don't understand. Now, granted, in the beginning, Andy did not know that Zach was the person that Fatima was messing with. But even once she found that out, because she did not lay out, concise boundaries, Andy was still having conversations with Fatima that I don't believe that Andy should have had. Because that is my friend, that is my sister. I don't feel comfortable talking about you and Zach, Fatima. Me and you could have conversations, but anything pertaining to Zach, baby, me and you can't talk about it. You see how easy that was? But no, Andy didn't do that. Because Andy feels like she belongs. Andy feels like she's needed. Andy wants to feel as if I can fix these problems. And girl, you can't even fix your life. So how the hell you gonna fix something in someone else's? But this bond, I guess you want to call it that is unraveling. It's been a long time coming. I'm here for it. Even in the extended trailer, I believe, all the women are at dinner or what have you. Fatima approaches. Andy asks her, like, hey, basically, you're interrupting our sister conversation. Can this wait? Now, before, oh, baby, Fatima pops up, you dropping everything and everybody to see what she want. But now, because you in your feelings, because Karen called her, now she's interrupting. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when we seek to deceive. Yep, I'm here for it. But Miss Janet, I want to thank you for your comment, because it really did. I really was somewhat inspired, because I really, like I said, I believe it was a genuine question. It was simple. It was to the point. Like, what have we missed? Baby, we ain't missed nothing. It's been there. It's been there. So thank you for inspiring this video. And I'm going to do more things like this. I was supposed to start a long time ago. But I'm going to try my best to do more of that. So until next time, I want to holler at y'all later, and y'all be safe out there. One.